Europe is facing an existential crisis. Once a prosperous hub filled with innovation and cultural richness, the continent is now facing issues unseen since some of its darkest days. Economic instability, political division, and social unrest are threatening Europe's unity and future. Something needs to give. A year ago, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen recognized the urgency of the situation. She announced a comprehensive report to explore solutions that could halt Europe's decline and set it on a path towards renewed competitiveness and growth. For this monumental task, she turned to someone uniquely qualified, Mario Draghi, Italy's former Prime Minister and the man credited with saving the euro during the debt crisis. A few weeks ago, Draghi delivered his much anticipated report titled The Future of European Competitiveness. Its conclusions are stark, its recommendations bold, and its implications far-reaching. So how do we reach this critical point? What are the challenges that Europe faces, and what solutions does Draghi propose? Most importantly, where is Europe headed if decisive action isn't taken? This is the story of a continent at a crossroads. This is a story about the future of Europe. Part 1. Why Mario Draghi? Why did Ursula von der Leyen choose Mario Draghi for this crucial mission? To understand this, we need to look back nearly 15 years to a time when Draghi was at the epicenter of European geopolitics. The continent was grappling with a severe debt crisis that threatened not just individual economies, but the very fabric of the European Union. Countries like Greece, Portugal, and Spain were on the brink of default. Confidence in the euro was plummeting, and the stability of the entire eurozone hung in the balance. Enter Mario Draghi, then president of the ECB, the European Central Bank. In 2012, amid mounting panic in financial markets, Draghi made a statement that would become legendary. Within our mandate, the ECB is ready to do whatever it takes to preserve the euro, and believe me, it will be enough. These words had an immediate calming effect on the markets. But Draghi didn't stop at words alone. Under his leadership, the ECB introduced the Outright Monetary Transactions Programme, which allowed the bank to purchase government bonds of troubled Eurozone countries. He lowered interest rates to unprecedented levels and implemented quantitative easing measures to inject liquidity into the economy. These bold actions stabilised the continent's economy and restored confidence in the euro. Draghi's decisive leadership during the crisis earned him the reputation as the saviour of the euro. Now Europe faces challenges that are even more complex and multifaceted. Economic stagnation, technological lag, geopolitical tensions, and social unrest are just some of the issues at hand. Ursula von der Leyen believed that if anyone could chart a path forward, it was Mario Draghi. Part 2. The findings of the Draghi report. Mario Draghi was given a clear mission to develop a strategy that would enhance Europe's competitiveness on the global stage and secure its prosperity. His report is poised to play a crucial role in shaping the European Commission's efforts to create a new plan for sustainable growth. The findings are comprehensive and unflinching in their assessment of Europe's current state. Draghi doesn't mince words. He said, "We have reached the point where without action, we will have to either compromise our welfare, our environment, or our freedom." The report is divided into 3 parts: closing the gap between Europe, China, and America, decarbonation and competitiveness, and reducing dependencies and increasing security. Let's look into each of these areas. Closing the gap. In recent years, European companies have collectively invested significantly less in research and development compared to their counterparts in other continents. According to the report, European firms spend 200 billion euros less annually on R&D than companies in the United States. This underinvestment has led to a staggering lack of dynamism in Europe's innovation landscape. Consider the tech industry. Europe has struggled to produce global tech giants on the scale of those in the US and China. Companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, Alibaba, and Tencent dominate the global market while Europe lags behind. Why is this happening? It's not due to a lack of talent or creativity. Europe boasts some of the world's best universities and produces top-tier engineers, scientists, and entrepreneurs. The problem lies in the systematic obstacles that stifle innovation and growth. There's regulatory hurdles. European entrepreneurs often face a labyrinth of regulatory challenges that vary from country to country within the EU. The fragmentation makes it difficult to scale businesses across the continent. Compliance costs are high, and navigating different legal systems is cumbersome. Just imagine being an entrepreneur with a groundbreaking idea, but having to deal with 27 different sets of regulations to operate across the EU. The easier alternative is to relocate navigate to a more streamlined market. Brings us on to the talent drain. As a result, about 30% of European-founded unicorns, startups valued at over $1 billion, have relocated to the United States. They seek the supportive ecosystem, access to capital, and unified market that the US offers. This innovation gap is not just a setback for individual companies, it's a systemic issue that's slowing down Europe's economy. Without a vibrant tech sector, Europe risks falling behind in areas like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and clean energy technologies. Draghi's recommendations: streamline regulations across the EU, create a more unified and business-friendly regulatory environment. Draghi proposes the creation of an innovative European company status, a new EU-wide legal statute that provides a unified digital identity and simplifies compliance across member states. Increase investment in R&D. Both public and private sectors need to ramp up spending on research and development. Draghi suggests incentives for private investment in high-tech sectors and increased public funding for key research initiatives. Enhance access to capital. Develop European capital markets to provide startups and growing companies with better access to funding. This includes fostering a venture capital culture within Europe. Retain and attract talent. Implement policies that encourage top talent to stay in Europe and attract global talent to the continent. This can involve visa reforms, tax incentives, and investment in education and training. Now let's talk about decarbonation and competitiveness. Climate change is one of the defining challenges of our time, and Europe has positioned itself as the leader in the global effort to combat it. The European Green Deal aims to make the EU climate neutral by 2050. However, the path to decarbonation must be balanced with economic competitiveness. The energy crisis. Recent events have highlighted Europe's vulnerability in energy supply. Dependency on external sources, particularly natural gas from Russia, has led to skyrocketing energy prices and volatility. This not only affects consumers, but also hampers industrial competitiveness and deters investment. The opportunity in green technologies. Europe has the potential to lead in renewable energy technologies such as wind, solar, and hydrogen. By investing in these areas, Europe can reduce its energy dependencies, lower costs in the long term, and create high-quality jobs. So let's take a look at some of Draghi's recommendations. Invest in renewable energy infrastructure. Accelerate the development of renewable energy projects, including offshore wind farms, solar parks, and green hydrogen production facilities. Modernize the grid. Update energy grids to be smarter and more efficient, allowing for better integration of renewable sources and cross-border energy trading. Support research in clean technologies. Increase funding for research and development in areas like energy storage, carbon capture, and next generation renewables. Align policies with competitiveness. Ensure that environmental regulations support innovation rather than hindering it. This includes streamlining permitting processes for green projects. Strategic independence. While it's practical to import certain technologies or raw materials, Europe should aim for self-sufficiency in key areas where it has existing strengths. This reduces vulnerabilities and enhances security. In an increasingly uncertain global landscape, Europe's strategic autonomy is more important than ever. Geopolitical tensions, trade disputes, and conflicts highlight the risks of over-reliance on external partners. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed significant weaknesses in global supply chains. Europe found itself lacking in critical supplies from medical equipment to semiconductor chips. Defense and security. Despite being the second largest military spender globally when combined, European nations often do not achieve economies of scale due to fragmented procurement. Moreover, a significant portion of defense spending goes to non-EU suppliers, weakening Europe's strategic position. Other Draghi recommendations include developing a cohesive foreign economic policy, enhancing internal collaboration, and invest in critical industries such as semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, and defense technologies. He also recommends promoting European standards globally by setting high standards in areas like data privacy and environmental protection. Europe can influence global norms and protect its interests. So is all of this feasible? Draghi's plans are ambitious and will require substantial investment. The report estimates that the EU needs to mobilise 750 to 800 billion annually to implement these strategies effectively. Securing such funding will be challenging, especially with varying economic economic conditions across member states. Political will also be challenging. Achieving consensus among 27 diverse countries is no small feat. National interests and priorities often diverge. There's also skepticism among citizens who may be wary of large-scale initiatives, especially if they perceive them as benefiting corporations over individuals. The proposed reforms require overhauling existing systems and processes, which can be slow and fraught with bureaucratic hurdles. Part 3. The future. Europe stands at a pivotal moment in its history. The decisions made in the coming months and years will shape the continent's trajectory for decades to come. The road ahead is challenging, but not insurmountable. Implementing Draghi's recommendations requires collective action, political courage, and a shared vision of Europe's future. If we're going to succeed, we're going to need strong leaders who can articulate the vision and rally support. This includes both EU-level leaders and national governments. We're going to need a stable economy, facilitating investment and making it easier to implement reforms. And we're going to need good geopolitical relationships with the US and China. Embracing and investing in new technologies will be critical for competitiveness. So what are the consequences of inaction? If we don't act, we could be in economic decline. Continued stagnation could lead to decreased living standards and increased unemployment. Inaction could lead to loss of global influence. Europe may find itself sidelined in global affairs with diminished ability to shape international policies. It could lead to social unrest. Economic hardships and lack of opportunities could lead to increased social tensions and political extremism. Now let's have a look what's happening in the UK. Interestingly, Europe's challenges mirror those in the United Kingdom. A recent report titled Foundations by Sam Bowman and Samuel Hughes highlights similar issues of stagnation and underinvestment in the UK. So what were the key findings from the Foundations report? Firstly, infrastructure and investment barriers. The UK has struggled to invest in essential areas like housing, transport and energy. Projects often face high costs and delays due to bureaucratic hurdles and planning regulations. It finds comparative underperformance. The UK lags behind countries like France, Germany and the US in productivity growth and per capita electricity generation. It finds historical economic decline. Despite periods of growth, underlying weaknesses have persisted, particularly in land use planning and investment in infrastructure. The report talks about political and institutional dysfunction. Successive governments have failed to modernise frameworks, leading to economic stagnation. The report talks about stagnant real wages and social impact. Real wages has been flat for over a decade, contributing to social discontent and undermining societal values. Both the UK and the EU face the need for systematic reforms to revitalise their economies. The challenges are similar: underinvestment, regulatory barriers, and the need for strategic vision. There is an opportunity for collaboration. While Brexit has changed the UK's relationship with the EU, there's still potential for collaboration on common challenges such as climate change, technological innovation, and security. The time for complacency has passed. The urgency for action is immediate, and the bold decisions are required to reshape the UK and Europe's competitive landscape. Whether Draghi's report will drive the necessary change remains to be seen. The challenges are significant, but so are the opportunities. Europe faces a choice: embrace reform, implement the Draghi recommendations, and Europe can potentially reinvigorate its economy, enhance its global standing, and improve the quality of life for its citizens. If it just wants to maintain the status quo, failure to act decisively may lead to continued decline and marginalisation on the global stage. The future of the UK and Europe is not predetermined. It will be shaped by the collective actions of government, businesses, and citizens. A few final thoughts. We stand at a critical juncture in British and European history. The challenges are immense, but so is the potential for a brighter future. Will Europe seize this opportunity to reinvent itself, or will it continue on a path to decline? The answer depends on all of us. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content on global economics, politics, and sport. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Europe's future. Share them in the comments below. Thank you.